Every day, China gets closer to invading Taiwan. And a dangerous kind of warfare could spell disaster. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. Please help us. YouTube has been randomly unsubscribing people and demonetizing a lot of our videos. So please hit the like button and share this episode. If you're not seeing notifications for our episodes, we publish new ones every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and sometimes Saturday, like today. So check back often. You should also share this particular episode because everyone needs to know what the Chinese military is doing against Taiwan. It's called gray zone warfare, and it has many in Taiwan's military and the US military worried about the future of Taiwan. The Chinese Communist Party has been solidifying its grip in the Asia-Pacific. First, it militarized artificial islands in the South China Sea. Then, it squashed the freedoms of Hong Kong using brutal policing and a draconian national security law. All that remains is Taiwan. The Chinese Communist Party claims Taiwan as part of its territory. The independent government and military of Taiwan say otherwise. China's communist regime has threatened to use military force to invade Taiwan, but there's a problem with that. First, the geography. The Strait of Taiwan is difficult to cross, 80 miles at the narrowest point. Weather conditions mean an amphibious invasion could only be launched in April or October. And remember, Taiwan has had decades to fortify any and all possible landing sites along the coast. But despite the challenges, Taiwan is still a major prize and a top priority for China's communist leadership. Politically, once they control Taiwan, then the People's Republic becomes the undisputed China. And in the eyes of the Chinese regime, there can be only one. For Xi Jinping, democratic Taiwan is now the last outpost of resistance to his dream of a unified and rejuvenated China that can displace the United States as the major power in the Asia-Pacific region. That's because if the Chinese military can successfully conquer Taiwan, they would have a commanding position in the region. They would control what's called the First Island Chain. The Chinese military could then dominate shipping lanes, crippling Japan and South Korea, and give the Chinese Navy access to the Western Pacific. That could essentially make the Chinese Communist Party the dominant power in the Pacific, instead of the United States. And all that is why China is using a dangerous new tactic to fight Taiwan: gray zone warfare. It's a way for the PLA to defeat Taiwan's military without ever firing a shot. Since just mid-September, Chinese warplanes have flown more than 100 of these missions. These are missions where the PLA fly aircraft around and even into Taiwan's air defense identification zone, sometimes multiple times a day. Even though no shots are fired, Taiwan has to scramble jets each time in response. According to the Pentagon, China has more than 2,000 fighter jets, bombers, and warplanes. Taiwan only has 400. Over time, fuel costs, pilot fatigue, and wear and tear on Taiwanese aircraft will threaten the readiness of the island's air force if this pressure continues. Besides the psychological toll, gray zone warfare is also designed to enact a financial toll on the defenders. The numbers we're talking about here are insane. In October, Taiwan's defense minister said they had to scramble their air force nearly 3,000 times in 2020. That cost $900 million. And it's not just a battle for the skies. From January through November of 2020, Taiwanese ships launched 1,200 missions to intercept PLA ships. That's an increase of about 400 missions from the previous year. They're basically trying to push the Taiwanese military to the point of exhaustion and sap their will to fight. There is another benefit of gray zone warfare for the Chinese Communist Party. It allows the PLA to gather intelligence, not just on Taiwan's defenses, but also on Taiwan's and its allies' submarine activity in the area. That includes the United States. And as Taiwan's military gets more and more worn out, the Chinese Communist Party is throwing the entire communist state apparatus into building up its own military. That's why, according to a retired Taiwanese military chief, for a Chinese invasion, it's only a matter of time. It's important for people to know what the Chinese Communist Party is doing. But YouTube has been soft censoring China Uncensored by demonetizing our videos, secretly unsubscribing people, and not notifying people when we release new videos. So join us in the fight, in what I call the China Uncensored 50-cent army. They're viewers like you, who contribute as little as $1 an episode on the crowdfunding website Patreon. That's patreon.com/China Uncensored. As a thank you to them, I answer their questions on the show. And today's question comes from 50-cent army member Logan. Any truth to China having energy blackouts and falling steel production due to their ban on Australian coal? Well, it's 100% true that there's a coal shortage in China that's causing the worst blackouts in a decade. And it's also true that the Chinese regime has been using trade to attack Australia. Australia has been standing up to the Chinese Communist Party, even calling for an investigation into the origin of the coronavirus. The Communist Party hates this, so it's basically banned loads of Australian goods, from barley to wine, lobsters, and yes, coal. But the party denies that the shortage is due to their ban on Australian coal, noting that most Australian coal is used for steel production. Are they telling the truth? Maybe. Even if the coal shortages aren't caused by the ban on Australian coal, that ban isn't helping the situation. Coal prices are soaring, but the Communist Party remains determined to punish Australia. China's energy shortage is also affecting steel production, and even worse, Bitcoin mining. China clearly went a step too far. If only they hadn't banned lobsters, they could burn them for fuel, and then all the steel would smell delicious. Thanks for your question, Logan. And thank you for supporting, truly, the most insightful China analysis out there. And thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this episode. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.